sustainable. So I would like us to
Jesus.
I would like our speakers to come do a brief introduction. I'd like to know the speakers that are live in the session. Please kindly reach yourself and go ahead. I don't know if you heard. Hello?
Yes, I heard you clearly, but I'm not certain if the other members heard you.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Please, if you did not hear him,
Hello.
Hi, are you talking?
Please, who's
who
going
are
to
you calling
start?
on stage? Yeah, exactly.
I'm quite odd. I started extending the gift to everyone. I said, my pleasure, and I'm going to give you more section. Sustainable environment. I welcome all of you, and my name is Marco. I am founder of host, a voice action. I would like to call yourself
Carlos, I'm sorry. Did you hear well?
You can just go ahead.
No,
anyone that
I didn't.
Okay. Somebody go ahead, please.
Okay.
I am sorry.
I can start.
Let's start with you.
Okay? I need to share myself.
Okay, let's start by asking this Mr. Rashford house Discover African Destination Ghana.
Okay.
Any of my panelists on live now, can you introduction? Anyone that can just go ahead. The others will join.
Okay, I can. So let me please share my.
Sorry, just so you can share your
screen. I don't know if you can hear me. I believe you're having a network glitch and your voice is cracking. But if the other panelists can hear me, he's saying that one of the panelists should proceed with the presentation. I believe if the keynote presenter is available, she should proceed.
Yes, I believe Ghislaine was going to present. Yes?
Yes,
okay. Can you hear me now?
But if you can share, if you can hear my presentation.
Okay, Ghislaine, you can try sharing your screen from your own end. Can you try sharing your screen?
I'm trying. I don't know why it's not supporting. I don't know why. That's why I'm asking
please, can I have someone make a brief introduction so I can extend my question over, please? Just one person.
Question.
Okay, I'll start with Alice. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Alice.
Please,
okay.
So please tell us more about your organization and what you do in your region and how
you have been successful so far.
Okay.
Future Urban, what are the things you do, and let's see if we can make a replica of such things in our cities here. So just tell us about your work so far.
Okay. Do you think I can share my presentation as well?
Yeah, that's good. Go ahead.
Okay. I hope you can see this presentation. Probably yes.
Okay, making the future of circular design. Brilliant.
You see it, right? Okay.
Yes.
So what I do is I work with the businesses and cities to make them more circular, so to reduce waste. I'm part of this small studio called Future Urban Living that helps companies turn make solutions circular, turn climate risk into new opportunity, because right now we produce too much waste, and all this waste is resources that we don't exploit. And so if we design things so that they don't become waste, but they can be recycled over and over, like all the materials and all the products can be used more, then this way we can achieve a more circular economy and prevent the waste from going into the environment, whether it's the sea, the air, like the pollution, the water, everywhere. And I am a designer by training. I think design is really important because if you plan something to become waste, like this, like a plastic bottle or like a candies, you know, like you break, you tear the things apart, then you have to throw them away. Like you planned that packaging to be used only once. So you need design to, because design uses 80% of the design contributes to 80% of the product environmental impact. And so what we do is we try to see, like when there's a business or there's a city making something for a user, then what we try to see is also what are the externalities that come out of it. So how will this service or product burden the local context, the local city, and how it will burden also the ecosystem, how it's going to take the resources from the ecosystem. Because for everything that we use as individual citizens or as consumers, then there's going to be some resources we take from nature and some city that is going to be impacted, even just with the distribution of all these goods, you know, like the impacts the traffic. So we like to say that we work to make things circular. So circular economy, because a circular economy is this economy in which there is no waste, in which all the resources are circulated. And we think it's really important because basically we can reduce the impact of human activities by changing to renewable energy. Energy is very important, but even the product that we use are very important. And if we let them go to waste in the environment, they're going to produce harmful gases, they're going to produce toxins. And so if we instead use them for longer, then we can recirculate resources, we can avoid producing more, we can avoid using more energy to make more products. And this is almost 40% of all our negative emissions. 40% of CO2 emissions is produced not because of the energy we use, but because of the products that we waste. So in a circular economy, you help a lot to curb the climate crisis. The guiding rules are designing out waste and pollution by designing things that don't become waste. Keeping the product in use. Imagine like you build a house and then you demolish and you build a new house. But maybe when you change the old house to the new house, maybe you can just refurbish, or maybe you can recover the materials and they can be used somewhere else. And then regenerating natural systems because they're already so polluted. Right now, we are, when I started doing this with Future Urban Living, the world was in 2018 was 8.6% circular. So it means that only 8.6% of everything we use can be reused again. Everything else become waste. Now it's even less because we're getting more and more. We have more population, more people buying things. We have to revert this trend. I will skip on this, but my message is that we have a lot of resources that we waste. For example, when we grow cereal, the whole plant is wasted. We just eat the tiny part that stays on top of the plant, but the rest of it can become construction material, for example, and it can be different in every country. Every country can have their own resources to use. We don't always have to use concrete everywhere. Or we have like coffee and we have paper and we throw them away after one use, but we can grow stuff with us. We can grow mushrooms, for example, from coffee and paper. These are little things that we can introduce in our cities. Or like restoring the local habitat with seaweed. Seaweed is a great alternative for a lot of things that we throw away. And I will close this introduction saying that when I work with cities, mainly, it's really important to map everything that like, for example, if we talk about food system in a city, we talk about production, processing, the logistics of distribution, retail, consumption, and then we talk about waste. And all of these becomes like the ecosystems in which we run an analysis, and then we check against what is the local governance saying, what are the global best practices, what are the regional institutions, what are the systemic partners that can help transition to more sustainable practices. And that's basically a whole like systemic analysis that we run to try to reduce waste. So that was my introduction. I hope it was short enough.
Okay, brilliant. Very good presentation. And I would have a bit of questions for you. How long have your organization been in operation?
I would say almost 5 years, but the first 2 years it was a kind of a setup, and then it's been going since basically since the COVID time.
Okay, COVID-19. And literally so far, what has been the greatest challenge? Because with what I heard so far, I think I would say your organization is into sustainable or circular advice, if I could put it that way. You advise companies which are willing to have a carbon footprint and which are willing to transit to green energy, or however make up a design or give them a suitable project to work on. So what are your challenges so far?
Yes.
So we can look into this here and
For
see how we
example,
can incorporate here.
oh, sorry. For example, we have worked with the city in the Middle East, and for me, it was a very different setup compared to, like, I used to live in China, now I live in Europe, so I wasn't very aware of the reality in the Middle East, and then we had to work with this city, and they said, we want to map our food system, how much waste is created, where is it created, how can we act? So you need to really go and do the interviews and try to understand, like, what do people in this whole ecosystem know about food and food waste, and what do consumers think? What do the restaurant owners, the supermarkets, the food importers, the agriculture farmers, everybody has a voice, and all of them know something that the others don't know. You have to do a lot of research and a lot of interviews to understand what are the main pain points and how you can exploit it, because you, as a researcher going in and trying to map this kind of information, you wouldn't know as much as they know because they are the professionals. So you go there and listen to the professionals, and then you are the professional of circular economy. So then after you map out all the knowledge that you achieved from the people that work in the food system, then you get to have a essay based on, like, okay, this is a big source of waste. Maybe we can do something about this, and then propose solutions to the city officials that want to reduce waste. Also, for example, in the food sector, specifically for cities, there are networks like the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. That is a global network of cities that want to reduce waste and improve their food system. You can rely on these examples everywhere to bring in the best case studies and say, oh, this has been done here, maybe we can do it here as well. Or like, this works in this region, but maybe it doesn't work in another region. So we had these kind of challenges. And when we don't work with cities, we work with companies. Sometimes it's just about helping them match with a partner that can take over their waste or reduce the waste, or a partner that gives better materials that are more sustainable.
Brilliant. So also, your organization, Future Urban Living, do you have or have done any advice in mapping greener spaces, like when it comes to parks and cities, and has to do with reduction of air pollution in urban cities? How do you go about that in your project plan?
I haven't done a lot of work in the green spaces. I have done some kind of research in that space, but didn't work directly with the client on this. But I think rewilding is always a big part of reducing the emission. It's just that when you work with companies or cities, you work at reducing waste directly. So the waste doesn't come from the green areas, it comes from their activities basically. So that's what I focus on.
Okay, that's good. So far, your project with the Middle East, is it still ongoing, or it's a face-off project already?
It's closed. Yeah, it was a couple of years ago.
Do you consider having such project in Africa, in any city in West Africa, in the
Yeah,
nearest
of
future?
course. Definitely. Yes. I think
Okay.
different cities, like different regions, as I said before, they have different challenges. It could be either like based on if it's a country that produces a lot, even for exports, then the waste can come in the production area. So even outside the city, like outside the city center in the urban rural space, other cities are like more importers. So importers like Middle East, that city in the Middle East was a huge importer. Their waste is more in consumption. So you have to reduce the waste in consumption. So it depends, like every place can be studied and can have different tailored solutions.
Okay. So in sustainable environment development, for your organization, what factors do you have in mind when having to do a design or plan for a particular city or a local community? What factors do you consider mainly to achieve these sustainabilities? What factors do you keep in place, that cannot be
Okay.
changed? What factors, do you use in working?
I would love to hear from the other speakers about this because, yeah, I think you have more experience than me. But from my end, the only thing that I can add is that I think sometimes we think that reducing waste is a burden, that it costs money. And sometimes you can be creative about it. You can be creative about, like, sometimes finding solutions to reduce waste is cool. And it can also bring money because you can find a new revenue stream. So I think that the creativity part is interesting for me.
Okay, so you just focus on the environment and, let's say, economic aspects of your design of projects.
No, the economic aspect too.
Yes, I said environment and economic, which
Oh,
finally
yeah,
boils down to the
exactly.
social aspect.
Exactly.
Brilliant, brilliant, very good, nice one. So I will call upon the next speaker, which we would also, I don't know if she's going to be able to share her presentation. Are you there, Miss Kalala? Brilliant. Yes, go ahead. We are with you. You can just make a brief introduction. Tell us about your organization, what you do, what you've been doing, or what you hope to do in the future, and how you hope to contribute to this discussion. Hello? Go ahead. Go ahead, Kalala. If you speak, we will hear you.
Okay. Within my ecosystem, that's how we call it, namesake my work. So it's a youth movement which leads sustainable management of natural resources by raising awareness among the community about the practice of ecological action and the issues of climate change. That's what we try to do in the organization. And for now, we have many activities these few days. We are planning for the the campaign, well, and so that a lot of activities.
Sorry, can I come in for a second, please? I would like you to check on your network and try and resolve your echo in your environment. We just had Mr. Rashford. Hello, are you there? Mr. Rashford, are you there? Hello? 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 Okay, so I'll move to the next person. Mr. Carlos, are you there? Seems like everyone is out of this session. Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Welcome. Welcome back, Mr. Rashford. How are you doing today?
I can still hear you, and we still have people in the session.
Okay, so kindly make a quick one. You work in the travel and tourism area. So tell us a bit about your work, especially during this after COVID. You know, we know that the travel industry was greatly affected. You know, so what has been your challenges? You know, in running your organization to work with the circular economy and in line with solving urban challenges in sustainable cities. You know, so just do a brief introduction and tell us about your work so far and what you plan for the future.
I believe your question was for Mr. Ransford, right?
Exactly.
Okay, Mr. Ransford, you have the floor. Please, you can answer your question.
Okay, maybe we lost him. So I'll just go ahead and just make a quick talk. So um, when we talk about sustainability, you know, we especially when it has to do with urban cities, you know, I think the UN has in record that in the place where you have more than 20,000 inhabitants, I don't know if I'm correct, is an urban center. So and where you have such populous people, you know, you're prone to a lot of challenges, you know, environmental challenges, health challenges, you know, um, waste, you know, how to manage water, you know. So um, I am so glad to be in this section, and I'm happy to have like minds together. So I would just like to throw a general discussion, and let's talk more about how we can build green spaces and more parks in city to reduce air pollution. Because generally, I'm speaking from my own city, Lagos, where I reside in Nigeria. You know, over the past few years, you know, our government in Lagos has been doing so well. You know, building green spaces and parks. You know, and that has made the city more cleaner and more habitual for people. You know, and that has been a phase going on. And also, we have a lot of initiative that has been ongoing, like the likes of LSETF, the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, which has been a major player in the circular economy. You know, most things that are affecting young people when it comes to sustainability in urban areas, the lack of information. You know, they're not properly informed, or they're not willing to take up this information that are readily available to them. So when you go to this aspect, it boils down to proper education and all that. So the challenges which we face now is how young people can actually engage and engage meaningfully in covering these challenges that we face in urbanization. Mr. Rashford, are you back? Mr. Rashford, I thought I heard you say something. Are you back?
Mr. Russell, you need to unmute.
Or maybe someone needs to unmute him.
It's unmuted. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. We are talking about sustainable cities this very evening.
Yes, exactly.
I would like to throw some light on what sustainable cities is and then go through how we can solve urban challenges.
Very good.
First of all, you know what is sustainable cities? It's about
You can tell us for the rest of us that don't know.
Sustainable city is one that is designed to address social, environmental, and economic impacts through urban planning and transformation. Yeah, so
Brilliant.
if government is able to design some of these policies, you achieve a sustainable city. And according to World Bank reports, cities require good governance, integrated urban planning to deliver four outcomes, such as robust economic growth, conservation of natural resources, mitigating greenhouse gases, fostering inclusiveness and livelihood by reducing poverty. If we were to do this, we are on the verge of achieving sustainable cities. So we ask ourselves, what are the benefits of greener cities? That's less pollution and traffic, more peace, reduced stress, conservation of biodiversity, locally produced food, increase in rent estate valuation, stronger ties to local government, and cooler environment. So you look at what are some of the characteristics. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
What are some of the characteristics of a greener future or sustainable cities? A city must have access to public resources, such as recreational facilities, libraries, museums, health centers, garbage collection, and public transportation.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Let me come in there. When we talk about public transportation, you know, over the years, this is a topic which I'm really interested in. Over the years, there's been lots of discussion and conversation on energy transition, green mobility, EV vehicles, this, that, you know, but I must be frank, the reality is so slow than what it should be because there has been so many talks, you know, and really, I think for us to achieve this, especially in Africa, West Africa, there's a need for private-public partnership. There's a need for there's a need for inclusiveness in private organization with the government-held organization. But I think that is quite a difficult thing we are trying to work with in this part. I won't just say Nigeria, I'll say Africa as a whole. We all suffer this pain. So it's like when a government comes in and he leaves, everything lives with him, all the project lives with him. Is sort of self-centered. And you know, anything that has to do with SDGs, sustainable development goals, it's sort of like a teamwork. It doesn't have to be your own project, it doesn't have to be your own business, you know, it has to be a thing that has to be continuous, you know. So, but we lack this culture. So, how do you think in your own environment that you can make this possible, or you can at least involve as a private organization in your own local? Because the government are like the stakeholders, and were you trying to say something?
Yeah, I couldn't finish, and when you came in, so I
Okay.
want to know whether
So
when I conclude.
my question is there is the environment favorable for private organizations to work with the government of the day in achieving these goals? Do you see that as a challenge? Is the environment friendly? Is there acceptance? Is there collaboration? Is it ongoing? Is it feasible? So that's my question.
Yes, very, very feasible. Very, very feasible. It depends on uh, different country policies with regards to its transportation needs. Problems in Ghana may be different from that in Nigeria, so it will be difficult to draw a conclusion that all will be well. But when it comes to Ghana, I will say it is possible. For government has a public-private partnership that enables businesses to establish and then get attached to government policies.
I
So
think
with
Ghana
regards to
and Morocco are leading pioneers
yeah,
on clean and affordable transportation in rural and urban areas in their
yeah,
community. So other
yes,
African countries could follow this roadmap, and I think they were able to achieve this through public-private partnership.
yeah,
The government were able to liaison with local industries, local companies, local technology centers, bring out ideas. But in this part where we are from, it is quite difficult. So I don't know. Can you put some light into that? Because I think we're quite closer to me. You're like my neighbor. You're from Cameroon, right?
I'm from Ghana.
Oh, Ghana, brilliant. So
Yes, I'm from Ghana.
so you can bring in some lights there and just tell us how you're able to achieve these milestones. How the people of Ghana were able to work with their government in achieving these huge steps.
Yeah, government has a lot of policies with regards to transportation. We have public transport that is being managed by the government sectors, and then we have that one that is being managed by private sectors. So, as we said, public-private partnership is possible when the government open its doors for the private sector to access funds to develop the transportation sector. The example is we have a one project that is BRT, Bus for Rapid Transport System. It's the government that is managing it.
Oh,
But
really?
when
You
it
also
comes
have
to
BRT in Ghana?
yeah, BRT.
How long has
In
it been in
Ghana, we call it
existence?
let's say 2015. It's been in existence from 2015.
2015, okay.
Yeah, so day in day out, see there are a lot of challenges. So the government keeps upping its game to make sure it's being managed by government. But it's one of the challenges when the government open its doors to the private sector, it will develop to make it more vibrant.
So the BRT in Ghana is for mass urban transit, right?
Yes, and it is
For mass
intercity.
urban
It's
transit.
correct. Yes, it's within the capital city. They are doing it in phases. After they are done with the capital city, then they will migrate to other cities.
Currently, what model of vehicles are in use for the BRT? CNG,
Uh,
EV vehicles, combustion engine?
okay, it's Kenya. I don't know if it's Kenya buses. Yeah, he do those buses that is from Sweden. Yeah,
Electronic
so
powered or CNG or combustion engine? Are they
combustion
green
engine.
vehicles?
It's
Okay.
combustion engine. Is combustion engine. Yeah.
Okay. So these are the challenges. This is what we are talking about. If you're going to have sustainable cities, urban cities, I think they should be facing out. They should be looking into getting cleaner mode of transportation, which will be quite affordable and quite healthy to people living in that environment. So now, my question is the inclusion of this transition with government and private organizations. Take for instance, let's say we used to have there was a sorry, permit me to say this very quickly. There was a focused discussion group in Lagos, which after that discussion, it bettered the transition of we have BRT also in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria. Lagos is like the pioneer of green cities in Nigeria. So we had this BRT company, BRT management company importing electric vehicles from China. It was a nice one, but that was not supporting our economy. When these buses could be either manufactured here or I'll say converted. You can also there are means to convert vehicles from combustion to CNG or to solar powered or battery powered, however. But when you don't work with your own direct economy, when you start importing vehicles, the maintenance has to come in another level. I don't know if it's also like that in your country, but this is a wrong step, which I would gladly say it. We are supposed to look inwards and see how we can acquire this technology, or I say transfer this technology locally and make it useful to us. So these are the things that the government needs to hear from private organizations, but I don't know if there are any organizations that could make this work better. So hence you're from Ghana, and the clean transportation in Ghana has been working effectively for like 2-3 years now. I've been following it up for a while, and I would like to know if you are aware the key players, and if you are willing to divert your project in such areas, because you've been speaking about green transportation for a while now. Because throughout the COVID, post-COVID, and after COVID, the travel industry practically died and revived again. So people in that industry are looking out in other boxes to do some other things. I don't know if I'm correct. Are you there, sir?
Oh, Transport
No.
is unmuted.
Okay, you didn't hear me well. I'm muted. No, I'm not muted.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Please, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Absolutely true. Yeah, during COVID, most of the travel companies became bankrupt. So we divert to different areas where we can have money and get income. So recently, government has initiated some projects to make sure the travel business become vibrant, as I said. So recently, the vice president just launched a transport that uses solar. So he says solar that will be powered by solar. So it's a means of fostering green transportation. So I'm looking at partnering with those private companies to look into that. So there's opportunities here. But I know since there is change in government, such policies can change any point in time. In Ghana here, we have 8 years. Then after 8 years, it's either the government will continue or another government will come. So policies do differ a lot. So those are some of the things that is going on in Ghana here.
So do you think importation of this vehicle is a good idea, or we should look into assembling and manufacturing these vehicles here on ground? Which do you think will pay at the long run?
Okay, initially, importing them is the best solution. As you look in the long term, you look at assembling them locally. If there is a public private partnership that come with a huge investment that want to assemble them, we welcome it. Government, in Ghana, we have an automotive policy whereby a lot of transport companies are assembling in Ghana here. We have Toyota, Suzuki, Volkswagen, already are assembling in Ghana here. Yeah, so if those that are powered by solar panels, they have that opportunity to also come and assemble in Ghana here. So I think it's a very good opportunity for them.
Okay, that's like a transfer technology. That's brilliant.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if we have Mr. Carlos here. I have a question for you, sir. You're an environmental consultant.
Yeah, I'm there and I'm available. Go on, please.
Okay, I have a brilliant question for you. In a
I'm
case
listening.
whereby we have to import EV vehicles or solar power vehicles, what happens to the regular combustion vehicles? What do we do to them? What spaces? They're going to take spaces. What happens to those buses? What happens? Do we just park them on the road? Do we throw them away? What do we do with them?
First and foremost, I will say that we don't just pack them away at a go. It's a gradual process. If we are importing electric vehicles or solar-related renewable energy forms, we will be improving on them while removing the polluting forms gradually. It's not like you just come and replace at the same time. It can't go that way. So it is a gradual process. But I would like to say that this aspect of solar has been a challenge, because the question has always been posed that the life cycle of these solar batteries is just 7 to 10 years. And most of the companies or most of the countries that are dealing with solars don't deal with recycling of these batteries and solar parts. And then when they expire and becomes waste, what becomes of that waste? How is the waste supposed to be transformed? Especially in an economy that cannot even produce it, because you can't improve what you don't know or what you can't measure. And that brings in another question. So I think it's a gradual process. It's not as if you just come and replace it at a single time. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Yes, that's good. Okay, so to this, I feel setting up local factories for solar manufacturing will be okay, will be a good idea, or even solar education. These things are not so hard to manufacture. You just need to know the technology, you know. Take for instance China, you know, they have China and Egypt has almost the largest solar plants, and it's working for them. You know, it's quite durable. It depends on how you set your panels and everything. So, and in Africa, we have the solar energy. That's the sun. What that is required for this transition. In as much as we have the crude oil as well. So, it's a choice for us to make. You know, it's a choice for us to make, and I think it was best for us that we're going to go for. So I like the contributions there. So back to you, Miss Kalele. I don't know if you're able to sort out your network issues. Miss
Hello,
Kalele,
can you hear
say
me?
my word. Yeah, yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So I just want to present that when I started
You can also share your presentation. It's fine.
My presentation, I don't know what. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what share it. So when I was searching, I found that there is 6 main challenges that we find in European world that we have to for
I'm with you.
urban sustainability. We got sub.
The network is so bad, and I'm sorry we are not able to hear you.
We got
And
climate change with separate designation for residential, commercial, entertainment, and other service. So this is a challenge because it promotes the regulated and sustainable urban development, conversion of rural and farmland, and car dependency. So about overpopulation, you have to know that overpopulation when people exceed, when they exceed the resources provided by a location. And when cities began to grow quickly, planning and an allocation of resources are critical. So if a city
exactly.
yes, when a city experiences a population, it can lead to a high depletion of resources, lowering the quality of life for all. And when we see the challenge of waste disposal and sanitation. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Brilliant. That's your presentation.
Yeah. Thank you. So waste disposal and sanitation are problems.
Do you mind me reading for you? Do you mind me reading your presentation for you?
Yes. Sorry. Thank
Okay.
You can read.
What are goals and why? Because the future will be urban for a majority of people. The solution to some of the greatest issues facing humans are poverty, climate change, healthcare, education must be found in the city life. The SDG 11 stands for Sustainable Development Goal 11, aims to renew and plant cities and other human settlements in a way that offers opportunities for all, with access to basic services, energy, housing, transportation, and green public spaces, while reducing resource use and environmental impact. Can you share the next slide, please? Half of humanity, or 3.5 billion people, live in cities today, and this number will continue to grow. Exactly. 11 sustainable cities and communities. 2 billion people do not have access to waste collection services. Wow. 1 out of 4 urban residents live in slums-like conditions. 2018. That was an abstract from 2018. Only half, 53% of urban residents have convenient access to public transport. This is where a proper solution lies, because let me go ahead and read before I make a quick contribution. 150 countries have developed national urban plans, with almost half of them in implementing phase. Exactly. 9 out of 10 urban residents breathe polluted air. Okay, next slide, please. This is 6 main challenges to urban sustainability.
So this is
suburban sprawl and overpopulation. This has to do with West Africa especially. And then waste disposal and sanitation, air and water quality, climate change, energy use, ecological footprint, environmental footprint. It is an indicator and a method of environmental assessment which accounts for the pressure exerted by humans on natural resources and the ecological services provided by nature. Then suburban sprawl. number one challenges. We're about to read your abstract on this. Please go to the next slide.
So
Overpopulation.
yeah.
Okay, sorry. Could you hold on a bit? This overpopulation. Let's speak on this a bit. What are the challenges? What do you think can be put in place to actually? I know it's quite awkward to use the word control human population because God has said that we should go into the world and multiply. So we are bound to multiply. So I think when you try to control population, it's to me it's not a nice thing, but it should be covered in every sustainable urban development plan. So what do you think can be the way forward in the problem with overpopulation in West African cities? Because as I know, I think DRC, where you are from, it's like the
from
second
DRC.
largest country in Africa. You're from DRC, right?
Yeah, right.
Yes, and I think that's the second largest country in Africa, if I'm correct. And with an overwhelming population, how do you manage this based on resources and to be able to balance your economy? You know, what do you think that can foster this problem that has to do with population? You throw a bit light into about this.
To really face to this problem, as I told, we cannot control population. People are burning every day. We can't control them. But what we just have to do is to prepare their livings. So when population is growing, they have to have access to different infrastructures that a government shall supply for them. And that is a challenge because when population starts growing in urban cities, it becomes the space becomes too little for them, and they can't live in those areas. So they are obliged to extend in a suburban or peri-urban area to live there. But now the problem is when they're expanding in those areas, the governments, most of our governments, they don't plan it. And that's why population is that we got this problem. Normally it can't be a problem, but it's a problem because people don't have how to live. They are obliged to that will provide for lower population.
Please go to the next slide. We are behind time. Let's try and round up. Let's go to the next slide. Let's finish up your slides and we can take some more questions so we can round up this section for the next people to come in. Air and water quality. Okay.
Yes, we got air quality. Okay. Yes, here we got air quality.
Energy use,
also
energy conservation.
And
so the quality of water in most people in Africa are quite poor because there are a lot of environment factors which we don't consider when we don't have this nature to, we don't usually treat water except it's in our okay, the slides is moving on. Ecological footprint. Do you have any input on this?
Yes, ecological, because I told it's an indicator. So the overall ecological footprint of cities is high and getting higher. And this is because as city grows, more resources are needed for maintaining economic conditions in a city. And the sustainable management of resources and limiting the impact of the environment are important goals for for cities. That's why we need
Okay.
to take care of our ecological footprint.
Okay.
If we
Go
can,
to the
we
next
can go
slide,
to the
please.
next.
Yes. Responses to urban sustainability challenges. There are several responses to urban sustainability challenges that are also part of urban sustainable development strategies. They are complementary: regional planning, urban growth boundaries, farmland protection policies, green belts, redevelopment of brownfields. Okay, I think this is clear enough. Go to the next slide. Regional planning. We should all know what regional planning is. Proper mapping of the city, urban growth boundaries. Yes, super. Yeah, farmland protection policies. This has been a major environmental challenges in local places in Nigeria, some local communities in Nigeria. Where we have farmers and herders clashes. These are environmental factors. That affect sustainability. And we really need to look into this, putting policies, green belts, yes, putting policies that will make things work. Next slide, please.
Yes, green belts. Okay.
Redevelopment of brownfields. Okay, sorry. In your own context, what are brownfields in your economy? Like what are brownfields? And can a refinery be a brownfield? Sorry, I just want to come in there.
Yeah. So brownfields
can a refinery be classified as a brownfield?
Most of the time we got industrial, former industrial areas that have been abandoned.
Okay.
And they can be an efficient way of repurposing infrastructures. And these can be sites where previous factories like landfills or other facilities used to operate. However, many of these areas may be contaminated and polluted with former toxins that the cost of cleanup and redevelopment may be high. So they are also one of the responses that we can redevelop it. If we can redevelop it and change it and making another way, transform, it can be also a response.
Okay, awesome. That's very good. So I would say thank you to all my speakers. It's been wonderful. And I would like us to continue the good work, keep the discussion going, put hands together. We'll get there, and God will see us through in all our goals. So thank you very much again for joining us in this section. I think the session has come to an